Okay, so I'm back. I just wanted to take a moment and address a concern that has become common here on this little platform of ours. And it's the issue with fake TIs or fake targeted individuals. So when I first started thinking about doing this channel, there wasn't a lot of info out there about this topic, which was about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, but because I'm also a target of electronic stalking and harassment, anything I aim to do, anything that I think of, they will usually organize frauds to either steal my idea or to imitate what I was planning to do. I guess it's supposed to give you like a sense of what I heard someone else refer to as defeat. As if like no matter what you try to do, no matter where you turn, you're always going to be defeated. You're always going to be taken advantage of. You know, that kind of feeling of hopelessness, which I heard another individual talk about, which is so true, because that's like how I felt. And so it's like, what's the point? What's the use? But just because they can fake your story doesn't mean they can take your story. So here I am. So, but I'm going to talk more about the other stuff later, not to get off the topic anyway. So going further about fake TIs, I want to share that I started noticing a lot of new people popping up on YouTube sharing their stories about 3 years ago now, and it's a big thing. It's now like a big thing, which I've seen. And I was watching another video, which I'm going to post down the description box, of a video chat done with like Zoom, where a couple of TIs were talking, doing like a live video talking about fake TIs, and one came up with some interesting points on how to identify fake TIs. So please go down the description box, check out those videos that I'm going to put on there, so that you can get a better idea of what to look for when identifying these perps and fake TIs. So when I first started noticing all these people popping up, you know, I'm a targeted individual, I've been through this, I've been through that, I was like so excited. I was like, great, you know, I'm not the only one. Because when I first started looking up this information, which I'll have to tell you about that story later too, there wasn't much information for me to find. So it was quite a search. But now it's like, it's a whole community. It's all you got to type in is target individual and you see a whole bunch of people, but a lot of those people are not real. So there are ways to find out. But after watching some of these videos, some of these target individuals didn't seem authentic by the way they was communicating. But forgive me if I keep looking down. I had to actually write an itemized list of how to organize my thoughts. So I'll get carried away and I'll go left field and I'll forget what the hell I was talking about. So, but anyway, they were like being strange, how like they were communicating their stories, and they would say things like when talking about other people's experiences, they would say stuff like it's not the government, or it's a mental illness, and so forth, and so, you know, so on, which they were doing what you call gaslighting. That's what they were doing. Kind of like dismissing however you feel or what you were going through. They don't express no real pain when telling their stories. Yeah. That was a big red flag for me, by the way. Because anyone that's really been through this organized stalking, gang stalking, and harassment knows how emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially painful this is. And it takes a lot out of you, and it takes a lot of courage to speak out about what has happened to you. You know, because you know that if you are a target individual, you know that if you do speak out, people tend to try to gaslight you, which are perps, and label you as being crazy or a nut job. And it could do something to you if you don't know how to handle this type of treatment. It even took me like 3 years from the moment I started like looking up information into being a target individual and what it's all about. It took me a long time to publicly talk about this. But I've been writing down my thoughts for a long time, trying to build the courage to talk about these things outside of the people I'm close to. And that's kind of probably strange for some of you to hear, you know, when I say people that I'm close to. And it's been a difficult road to keep people close to me, being a person, a victim that's not a victim. I don't like to consider myself a victim, but us who are in this situation are victims. But it's important not to feel like a victim, and I'm gonna tell you why later on, when I revisit that topic. But honestly, this is the only way to beat this, is to talk about it with no fear, because this is a secret operation, and the only way to break the secrecy is to be public about it. And I'm also give some tips on how to do this later on in another video too. Very soon though. Very soon. Everything that can take from you, probably they already have. Everything that they could take. So it don't matter if you've been in it a long time. It don't matter if you talk about it or not. You know, your constitutional rights have gone out the window. You probably have lost your job, kids. I've heard, you know, all kind of stuff. You lost your car. You probably lost your darn dog. Okay, being in this situation. So being afraid hasn't helped any of us. Anyone I know, being afraid has not helped. I was talking to a targeted individual who pretty much lost everything. You know, his marriage, luckily, him and his wife didn't have no kids. But he became homeless. He was in school, and I think he finished his degree, but that was even stressful for him to do. They were stalking him at school, and I have to tell that story later too. But it was very stressful for him, and he's a Christian, and he ended up, the Lord, helped him have some stability in his life through all of that, through some programs, because of, you know, all the stuff that he went through. So I'm gonna talk about that later too, and may give some of you hope. But I want to talk about some signs that would let you know if a YouTuber or someone you know may be a fake TI or a perp. So here's one sign: lack of sincerity. When you talk to people and tell people about your story, you're gonna get like there's 3 different reactions you can get. So one of them would be surprise, shocked, never heard anything like that before. That is a natural response. The second reaction would be curiosity, where they would be asking you questions, which is natural. That's a natural reaction as well. The third reaction is anxiousness. The person may seem to be a little fidgety, and they may be quick to kind of like change the subject or appear that they're really not listening. And it could be that they're just uncomfortable with what you're telling them, or they know something about it, or they're involved. And there's ways to determine that later on too. But one of the ways to determine if they're involved and you're telling them, if there's someone you know and you're telling them about things that are going on in your life, you might be met with some anger. And that is a sign that they're probably involved. So it's important not to retaliate with the same reaction. But it's just best once you are met with that emotion of anger to just stop talking about it. Now you know where they stand, and you can take further action in that relationship that I will explain later. 2, they're dismissive. They're dismissive when it comes to something that you've encountered in that day. Like, say for instance, you went to a restaurant and something happened to your food, and they kind of want to just act like you're over exaggerating. That's another key way to know that they're probably perp. They're probably a perp. They're involved. Another way is, let's see, 3. This is if you have been a victim to gang stalking in the public, because another targeted individual let me know there are levels to gang stalking, according to how important you are to them. So there is something called street theatrics, and say for instance, they have planted illegal devices in your home or your office or in your car or in your phone or whatever, and or you are also a victim of electronic harassment, where they use certain technology to hear your thoughts. Or I wouldn't say hear your thoughts. They don't really hear your thoughts. It's more like reading your thoughts. Then you will see different things happening when you go outside, which they call street theatrics. I want to give you an example of what happened to me. Okay, so like today, yesterday. So I make an effort to every day pray for, just forgiveness of sins. It's a general cleansing, and then I ask that God come in to destroy the activity of demonic forces, both natural and physical, through my enemies and people like them. So I'm not perfect, and even though I have a lot of faith, I come into times where I'm upset, by what is going on and still going on. Now, I've been a Christian for about 8 years, and I'm very devoted in my faith. But sometimes I be angry, and I be like, Lord, like, why are you still letting this happen to me? You know, I just, I tend to do a little grumbling, and I have to ask God to forgive me for that, because He has given me so much. And I have been victorious in other areas that I haven't conquered in other areas. And so I have to ask God for forgiveness, because I hate it when I am a person of deep faith, and I am very thankful. But I don't like it when sometimes I feel like I'm one of those Israelites who came across the Red Sea with Moses, and then he went up on the mountain, and they was down there grumbling or whatever, talking about God led us out of Egypt to starve and things like that. And I don't like to feel like that, and God doesn't deserve that, because He has blessed me so greatly even in this situation. So I was praying about that yesterday, and then I went into the gas station today, and there was a woman wearing these big old sunglasses. Okay, for one, there was no sun outside. But she was wearing these big old sunglasses in the gas station, and I'm about to pay for my stuff, and here she turns around and she's facing me, like she's looking at me, and she's saying, oh, where's my baby who doesn't complain? You know, I like him. He doesn't complain. He doesn't complain about anything. I got something really nice for him. And literally, like, she was acting like she was talking to the person behind the register, but he really wasn't really responding to her. Like, he really was acting like he didn't even know what the hell she was talking about. And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. Oh, you letting me know you heard my prayer. Okay, so what? Like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, I have no problem with my imperfections at all. I'm completely secure in who I am. I'm not perfect. But what's good about me is that I have a heart and I care about people. And you can't pay me no amount of money to hurt no one. And that's what's good about me. And I prize that in anyone. People are too concerned with keeping score, how much money you got in your bank account. But that money don't make you worth nothing. It ain't no different than Monopoly money. Just like you can have $500 of Monopoly money. If Monopoly money was real, like if it was the currency of the United States, you would be $500 richer than someone that only had how much money in the currency of the United States. Because if you take a currency from another country and you try to use that currency over here, unless you get the proper exchange at the bank, you're not going to be able to use those notes. So our money is nothing. It's really nothing. But I'm not going to go into that rant. I'm just saying that a person should prize what's on the inside versus what's on the outside. You know, so they could say what they want to say about me. You know what I'm saying? I don't even feel nothing towards that. But anyway, see how I be getting carried away? This is why I got to stay on topic. That's why I have this stuff written down. Now, where was I? Okay. So, one of the fourth sign. People will stop talking to you for no reason. Or they will be angry or mad at you for no reason. And most of the time it's because they were probably told lies about you. That's pretty much. They have no other reason to be upset with you. But I've encountered this myself. Like in the beginning, I used to actually test it. I used to think thoughts like about people to see if they would react a certain way towards me. the next day I seen them, because I had an idea that I was a victim of electronic stalking and harassment. So I had to do some experimentation and discovered that at first I didn't believe it. But I said, there's something going on. So I had to test it out. And I discovered that what I thought, what I was theorizing was actually so. But when you meet people and they're nice to you for the first time, and then you come back and they don't want to talk to you, or they're kind of like, giving you the shoulder, and you don't know why, it's because someone has approached them and told them something about you. And that's another sign to know whether or not someone is a new perp. So that's another way. But for fake TIs, what I've noticed is a sign to know whether or not they're a fake TI is they'll tell their stories and everything, but they really don't offer no real advice and addressing, assisting, or resolving the issues that targets really face. They just do a lot of talking, mainly. They don't give you a lot of real concrete information, or their stories seem fabricated, like they don't seem real. Cause if you're a target individual, you have the gift of discernment. You kind of like know what you've went through and how you feel, and another person is not conveying that to you. It's like something's wrong, something's off, and you're trying to figure it out, and that's because they're probably a fake TI. Or they be like faking, trying to be relatable to your situation, but you can't be. If you ain't been in it, then there's no way you gonna be able to fake that. It's just not happening. It's really not happening. So anyway, but there are some YouTubers that I feel are genuine, and they gave some good pointers as to what signs to look for. One of the signs that one of these YouTubers said, and again, I'm gonna put this video down in the description, but he said they are doing, how do you know if someone is probably a fake TI, is they're doing too well in their life. They don't really have any obstacles. They don't seem to have any frustrations or any problems, or need any assistance, and no stress. They live in life like normal, and that's most of the time. If they were a real TI, they're no longer a real TI. And what I've noticed in my experience talking to TIs is that if you are at a higher level of harassment, they will offer that TI freedom, like from harassment, in order for them to be used against you, and stalking and harassing you. And because of the condition that a lot of targeted individuals are in, I've noticed that they will exchange their security in themselves for their what is that? Exchange their liberty in themselves for security. Yeah, for the security of their freedom or whatever, not having to be in this situation. I understand where they're coming from, but if you've been in a situation, it's like, and you know what we go through, you know what you've been through, how can you turn around and accept freedom from living in this life to go and target someone else that you know is going through the same thing you're going through? It just doesn't make sense to me. It means you really never had no true compassion for anyone going through the same situation. It's just selfishness. But I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. It's still not right though. But some of the key ways that these people are doing, to see if these people are doing well, is they're not having no difficulties keeping a job or a friends or assistants and things. I've encountered all of that. I basically became my own boss, independent contractor to stay afloat, and I've been victorious in some other ways, to kind of cope with my issues. But it's been difficult working in the mainstream workforce. Like, I was a general manager for 6.5 years of a wine lounge, and that was difficult, very difficult, because I was a victim of a lot of slander a lot of times. And they would constantly try to destroy opportunities for revenue, but because of the way I did things, I kept that place open for 6.5 years. But I'll go on and tell that story later too. I'm gonna do another video giving some more tips about how to take your life back, because in 12 years I've learned a whole lot. I have made every effort into trying to take my life back, how I could do that, feel normal again, which after this you'll never feel normal. It's just not gonna happen. But at least you could grab some type of normality and live a life, some type of life, being a targeted individual. What's next? I've noticed that if a person on YouTube was a real TI and they were giving helpful information to assist targeted individuals, they will delete that information. And some of them will just delete their entire channel. Like one that I was talking to, he deleted his whole YouTube channel. And I remember when I was talking to him, he was telling me what he was saying. I can't remember. It was a while ago, but I remember when he started acting strange, and he would say things. Well, he would do one of the signs. He would say things like he knew something about my life that I didn't tell him. And so I'm like, I was a little curious about it at first. But then it was just undeniable. And then I told him, instead of lashing out at him and getting mad at him and not talking to him, I told him, I was like, look, they playing the field on you. He had just got this newfound enthusiasm and optimism about his future. And I was like, where is this coming from? He would be the one that always is like, nothing will ever change. Nothing's going to get better. They'll never be punished for their actions. He was always in a state of depression all the time. But then all of a sudden he was just excited about doing this and doing that. And, if finally he'll be able to have relationships again and all of this. And I was like, something strange. So basically and then I had a dream about him that kind of let me know that he was now a convert, convert or whatever. They converted him to basically turn against me. But I told him, I reassured him that it was all a lie. He didn't tell me, but I already knew. So I alluded to it, that they were lying to him, and that he was being deceived, and they were trying to trick him. And eventually, he didn't believe me at first, but then eventually he came back and he told me, he was like, yeah, you was right. They deceived me, and ain't nothing changed. And I said, see? And then we kind of like lost contact. I was going through my own issues, and I felt like I couldn't trust him no more. So I just ended transmission with him, and he completely deleted his channel. And he has some good information on there. There's another YouTuber whose name I'm not gonna mention, but I know she was giving good information about how to detox your body and from being poisoned as a target individual and things that she was giving some good tips on how to survive. And all of a sudden, I had communicated with her on YouTube, and all of a sudden she responded, and then all of a sudden she like deleted her page. Not deleted her page, she deleted all the videos on her channel. And I was like, why is she deleting all that stuff? And then she came back with it months later, posting just like general information, like not giving no helpful tips as to really help us through our situation. And I was like, and then she had one video talking about the mass shooting where she pinpointed that it was a false flag, and her video was the only one that had like it had hit it on the nail. And there was no way. I think it was the Las Vegas shooting. And she made me a believer, and I was like, wow. And the Lord was telling me, you need to download that video. Download that video. And I had put it off because I procrastinate sometimes. And I put it off, and then all of a sudden, she deleted it. And then she put up another video talking about the censorship is real. Like, yeah, they told her to take it down. They let her have her channel, but they told her what she could put up. She couldn't put up everything. But I'm not gonna say her name because I feel like she went through a lot. They took her husband. She has kids. And she was really at her ends. I was trying to give her encouragement, and she was just really at her ends with it. She's also a Christian. She was at her ends with it. So she basically took whatever deals they gave her and basically just shut her up. Sometimes it's just best to just understand people, and they may not be something you would do, but it's just best to just have understanding. Because I feel for her. But if you're a YouTuber, and you see, here's another way to know if perps are stalking you, or what I would call them is online trolls. If you're a YouTuber, you will notice that in your comment section, they will be saying like hateful stuff towards you. That's another way to know that someone's a perp. If they don't have, it'd be like negative stuff, and you didn't say nothing. You're not bashing anyone or doing any harm. Your video is just sharing your story and it's just helpful information, and they just have mean things to say. That's probably because they're a perp, or AKA troll, and they've been assigned to defame you. That kind of thing. So my motto is, when it comes to people who have things to say, like mean things to say for no reason, is if they hate you without cause, it's because they have some internal psychological issues that they are dealing with. And the only way to feel at ease is to basically project their hate that they have inside of them, because they can't deal with their own issues and then project it onto you. And there's a lot of mental and emotional issues that come along with being a hired perp or a stalker. For one, it causes all the secrecy and stuff. It causes a person to basically split their personality, to split into two. One, they live during the day. One they live in secret. So it's leading them to live two different lives. So believe me, these people aren't mentally sane in any way. But I will talk about the mental illness associated with becoming a perp and living a life as a perp or gang stalker in another video too. So, because even though we're victims of a horrible crime, if we also must have compassion, because even though they're like organized criminals, government criminals, they're people too. And we all deserve to be treated with empathy and compassion. It takes self-control and understanding and wisdom in order to deal with this situation in a kind fashion. But it can be done. Especially when the person that's a perp or a fake TI, and then they're your friend, or they're your supposed friend or family. And they be trying to like get info from you. Let me see. Like sometimes like they be like ordered to like get info from you, like where you going, what you doing when you get there, what you eating and things like that, and then you give them a general answer, and then they like come back and ask you again because they didn't get the answer they was looking for. And that's how you know if your family or supposed friend is a fake TI or a perp, a hired perp. That's one way of knowing, is because they're constantly probing you for information. I deal with this a lot, but there's ways to also handle that situation. And one way that I handle it is, the Lord says thou shalt not bear false witness. So I try for the most part not to lie about anything. And also I try to keep my privacy. So if I don't want you to know something, it's because you don't need to know. And I live by that law. So I keep myself very flexible when it comes to my decisions, to not really know too much about, not be concrete on any decision, but kind of let God lead the way. So when they do ask me, I really don't know. When I tell them I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know. I haven't made no concrete decision. I guess I'll wait until the decision presents itself and I make a decision accordingly. And usually this will create an edginess or nervousness in the person who's asking the question. And that's also how you would know that they're a perp or a fake TI. It's because they're not getting the answer that they're looking for, so they can't get their reward either. But if it's your family or friend that is doing the probing, it's important not to get mad with them. And it's easy to do that if you feel like you're gonna feel defensive, you're gonna feel like you're being attacked. But it's important not to get mad with them. to be calm and basically to laugh at it, because you should really feel sorry for them, because they're probably in this situation or doing this out of an act of desperation. So Perps may be organized government authorized criminals, but it's so important to remember that they're just like us, except that they're on the inside and we're on the out. So there is a better way that will basically destroy the very foundations that these violent hate monsters sit on in their high seats of power and position. So I'm going to be sharing, like here, I'm going to be sharing information and tips and other videos to help you, or help you or people like you get their life back. So stay strong and stay tuned. Okay? Talk to you later. Bye.